First up, Tim Penthilhurst, your channel. Man, I love it. I love it. We may not see eye to eye on digital currency, but 99.99% of what you say, I can't deny it to be factual. There you go. On digital currency, I cannot confirm nor deny. I know not enough about it, but I do know that in the past, how people survived, not just survived, but many thrived, was a currency of skill and labour and knowledge in a barter system. Wealth can always be transferred, but the aforementioned can always be passed on without losing it yourself. That's how I see that. Shiny rocks can be taken, it can be transferred from one to another, which means that one loses and one gains. But skills, knowledge, barter, and empathy and compassion for our fellow man, that can be shared without anybody losing. It's a win-win and nothing but gain all round. That's why we probably don't see eye to eye on that. Doesn't mean we don't see eye to eye on it. More to the point, it's viewed through a different lens. So, yeah, I love your work, Tim. Absolutely love it. Now you're the first person. You're the first person since I was a kid. Since my grandfather used to talk about UNIDROIT. I was probably a bit young to comprehend what he was on about then. Dude, you reawakened something that it was sitting way back here, and it was sort of like sitting in a fog of forgetfulness. Bang on, mate. Bang on again. Do to you over the target. So, I'm going to sort of put a little bit into this. Dude, I'm going to use your video. I actually recorded it. I'm going to shove this in the middle of what I'm doing. You're doing a two-part. And so is I. I'll probably use yours as an introduction. Follow mine up as part two. It might go the other way around. I do not know. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, UNIDROIT is the International Institute for the Unification of Private Law. UNIDROIT is an independent international organisation based in Rome. You are correct. The Club of Rome. The Club of Rome became a League of Nations. The League of Nations became United Nations. It's all the same people, same as the Bilderberg Group, World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, FEMA. It's all the same shit. Bill Gates has got his nose in a lot of them. So are people like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Lord Trump. Yes, Lord, not King. He's a Lord. So as just as much as a Rothschild or a Rockefeller or a Walton. Okay? It kind of burst the little bubble on Trump's got this. Just trust the plan of Q. Sorry. I don't do fairy tales. I do absolutes. I do what I can verify. I do what sits well. I do this entirely to its entirety, cover to cover. Not necessarily, because I don't do religion. And that's been fucked around with. But all the lessons in that are extremely valid. Extremely valid. I do Christ, not religion. Now, that said, I digress upon my digression. I shall start this paragraph again. UNIDROIT is an independent intergovernmental organisation based in Rome that modernizes and harmonizes private, especially commercial, law globally, creating uniform rules, principles like the UNIDROIT Principles, and conventions like the Cape Town Convention. Oh, gee, I miss teeth. To reduce legal uncertainty and facilitate international trade and development. Established in 1926, it's a key player in shaping international business law with major economies and members. Before I go on to the key functions and work, I will reiterate, as I have many times, read between the lines of what's missing. What's missing is what joins those things together. That joins business law, major economies, and members. We are a member. Australia is a member. Because it's based from Rome. Okay. You can damn well guarantee, in fact more than damn well guarantee, it's overseen by the Catholic Church. Okay? And that's why I don't do bricks and mortar church. Okay? I don't do religion. Okay, so the Roman Catholic Church they're all over this. Now, because Australia are members, and think about how our government treats us as a people, and think back to Winston Churchill. We will become a name and not a number, a plastic identification, and we will be given games to play so that we don't notice our chains. Winston Churchill said that. Who also, the Churchills, are a family of lords, because Winston Churchill was the illegitimate bastard child of a Rockefeller. Don't know how many of you are aware of that. So, because of these things and the fact that we are not treated as a people, we are treated as the contributors to an economy. We are not treated as the people of the Commonwealth. We are treated as the Commonwealth of the people. It's all inverted and turned upside down. The government has put themselves above the Constitution, and the Constitution above the Commonwealth, and above the people. And the government has called themselves the Commonwealth. No, you are not the Commonwealth government. You are the government of the Commonwealth of Australia. You are meant to be the constitutional government of the Commonwealth of Australia, which means you are governed by the Constitution, because the Constitution is supposed to be between the government and the people. And in the Constitution, we are annotated as the public, wealth, and general goods, which is clearly the people. Okay, but because we are treated as an economy, all of these laws apply to us and are used in all of our courts, including the Court of Petty Sessions, especially in the Magistrates' Court of Petty Sessions. Magistrates are being locked out of being able to do their job. As we know, I've explained this a million times. Now, I'll go on to this. Key functions and work. Harmonization develops uniform laws, principles and rules for cross-border transactions, as seen in its work on secured transactions and capital markets. What isn't said in that? Develops uniform laws, principles and rules for cross-border transactions. That's a pretty broad description on what kind of transactions are we talking about, as seen in its work on secured transactions and capital markets. Now, given that your birth certificate is registered as secured transactions in a capital market of exchange, on the trade on the exchange on the trade exchange markets because of your royal entitlements, not self-entitlements, royal entitlements, as per Commonwealth Constitution 1900, Queen Victoria, heirs and successors of the British Commonwealth being England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Australia, New Zealand and Canada. Okay? We are being traded on the exchange market as a commodity because of our royal estate, your bar of gold and your block of land that you automatically have at birth. The bar of gold is meant to pay for things like the energy that you may use, that you may need. And this is why taxes are actually illegal, not just illegal, unlawful. Income taxes for your labour. Because the bar of gold is meant to pay for what is needed for you to work your block of land to generate wealth and general goods to contribute to the wealth of the common. See how that works? Can you see how that works? Yes, it is a little bit imperialistic. And yes, at some point, there may be too many people for that to work. That said, we're nowhere near it, because it's already been proven that we could fit the entirety of the world's population in Alaska with an acre each. A whole acre. Okay? That's 4 standard building blocks. That's you and 3 of your neighbours with a quarter of an acre yard each. Right? So what that actually is 3/4 of an acre to work with and an acre to live on. It's not hard to do. You can generate quite a lot of wealth out of that. You can support yourself out of that. Okay? If you're willing to take responsibility for yourself, which is true freedom. You know, to live from the sweat of your brow and the toil of your hands. It means self-responsibility, self-reliability. You have to be reliable on yourself. Next key function. Instruments. Produces treaties, conventions, model laws, guides and principles used worldwide. Who would want all that to work worldwide? Gee, I wonder. The aforementioned so-called bureaucratic governing bodies that are running our governments? That's exactly who. Who? Isn't it? Who? Facilities, trade. Spit it out, you monger. Facilitates trade. Helps create a stable legal environment for international business, reducing risk and fostering economic growth. You're starting to see the pattern here. Is this picture forming in your head? It should be, if you're thinking about this with a critical mind and a discerning conscience. Key examples. Famous for the Cape Town Convention on International Interests in Mobile Equipment, Aircraft, Rail, Space Assets, and the UNIDROIT Principles of International Commercial Contracts. See how people are getting away with offshoring their investments, dodging tax and taking advantage of slave labour in places like Shanghai and so forth to avoid the overhead costs of running a business here in Australia. They're making a big profit with zero overheads and zero contribution to our country. They're not contributing to our Commonwealth, they're contributing to UNIDROIT. Structure and membership. seat, S-E-A-T, Villa Aldobrandini, Rome, Italy. Languages, English, French, Spanish, German, Italian. So these are some of the countries. There's way more. Membership. So these are the main languages that are spoke in their conventions, okay? Membership comprises 65 member states, including all major economies. Do you need any more proof that we are not a constitutional Commonwealth, even though we are? How we are being treated in the territory, which is not a state, it's not subject to constitutional Commonwealth law. See how that's working? Which is why they cannot facilitate some things, so they, through cabinets and through state parliaments and a fraudulent constitution, they are facilitating things that are contrary to our law. History, founded by the League of Nations. Oh, the League of Nations, Trent Aitken. What religion is that? In 1926, re-established in 1940. Now, we've spoken about distribution, redistribution, establishment and re-establishment, haven't we, in another video? You go back and have a look through there and see what you can find. Why it matters. UNIDROIT's work ensures consistent legal frameworks for things like aircraft financing, franchise agreements, and international sales, making global commerce smoother and more predictable. How does that benefit the people? I don't think it does. However, you must remember to keep in mind to read between the lines, fill in the missing blanks, and that oh so popular phrase that we hear in certain legislature and certain rulings in court and so forth includes and also is not limited to. We must remember that, because that's a very broad brush that they're painting there. A very broad brush. So, which brings me to this. What are our courts other than a revenue-raising racket? What are our courts other than a revenue-raising racket? I've got a couple of key points written down here. I can't go too deep into it. Some of us will understand why. Some of us will comprehend why. Revenue for revenue's sake. With what can only be described as a totalitarian tiptoe of a communist fascist state, at what point does a constable's privileges override a court's authority to adjudicate without contempt and perversion? Right, contempt of court and perversion of justice, making a mockery of the rule of law. On that, right, before I get to my next point, we have constables who think that they are upholding the rule of law when actually all they are doing is enforcing revenue-based legislature. I don't care if you don't like hearing that. It's a fact. I have been told that by a Crown prosecutor and a Crown barrister. Not a state prosecutor and a state barrister, a Crown prosecutor and a Crown barrister in a Supreme Court. Okay? who thinks that the Magistrates Court of Petty Sessions is nothing but a racket. If you ever wanted evidence of that's what it is, you just got it. I was told that to my face when I was in the middle of what should have been an attempted murder trial, but was dropped to assault and wounding by a cock-up, I think on purpose, by a state federal detective and a state prosecutor and a state solicitor who were attempting to try and represent me in the Supreme Court, and I fired them because I told them I didn't trust them. I just told them I didn't trust them and I didn't want to go ahead talking to them anymore or dealing with them. Next thing you know, I was given a Crown barrister and a Crown prosecutor, and everything went in a very different direction, but they could only work with what they had to work with. They had a statement that was turned into gobbledygook, and false evidence presented to the court. I won't go deep into that because I could go on about that for hours, about how that was a complete and utter mockery of law. Now, when a constable is not honouring and standing under, understanding, are you understanding? Standing under your lawful oath of office of constable, and threatening with violence, which is coercion under duress, to persuade a person that they do not have the right to face their accuser in a court of law. That is perversion of the course of justice and contempt of court. Why are they not being charged for this? Because they are avoiding the courts. How are they getting away with it? Hang on a second. Daniel, there's a stink out here that's got to be taken outside. That's lovely. And you're going to have to do a bit of a mop up out here because tracked it through across the kitchen lino. ASAP, please. 2 cats in the house. 2 cats in the house, 2 chains. Right, so how are they getting away with it? UNIDROIT. The constables and the constabulary, the government constabulary, which is meant to be the Commonwealth Police Service, it's a public service, not a strong arm for the government, for the state. But as I said, the government is in a territory, not a state. Look up the meaning of state. Look up the meaning of territory. They're 2 very different things. The state doesn't necessarily apply to a chunk of dirt. Look at the state of your pants. It's a hell of a state we've got ourselves into. Examples of, right? When constables are running around doing that, not honouring their oath of office of constable, not understanding it, standing under their oath of office, their royal seal, their coat of arms, i.e. they are running around not wearing their hats, standing under what they are supposed to have sworn an oath to, that is nothing more than a con and a racket. That is not law, it's legislature and policy. If they was acting lawfully, they would still be wearing their hat, because their hat has the royal seal that represents the oath of office that they are supposed to swear. That's what that means. They're not representing it, obviously, are they? They are not honouring the oath. They're not even standing under it. Understand that. Is UNIDROIT not a conflict of interest to constitutionally protected Commonwealth law and democracy that is supposed to ensure justice for all? And the presumption, not assumption, presumption of innocence till proven guilty in a court of law, which you have to be brought before under prudence, jurisprudence. Jurisprudence is, I've got the words, I'm doing a lot of this lately, I don't know if it's age or what. Jurisprudence is the process of which one must go through to ensure that it is a lawful arrest and a lawful search and lawful procedures have been abided by in the correct order. For the reason being, no victim, no crime. You cannot just jumble things around, tell lies, not stand by and stand under your oath of jurisprudence, under your oath of constabulary, oath of office of constable, to pervert the course of justice, to legislate and write people into criminality based on hunches and circumstantial evidence, just for the sake of raising revenue for economic gain, for your own economic justification. See how that is all working? They are chopping, changing, messing around with, altering, removing and adding whatever they feel like to what is supposed to be constitutionally protected with the words must and must not the words may and may not. The words must and must not keep it black and white. The words may and may not makes everything wishy-washy and shades of grey, open to interpretation by whomever holds the gavel or holds the seat in which they are not honouring. Whoever holds the office of which they are not honouring lawfully. And how are they getting away with it? You don't know. Simple as that. Ignorance. Not necessarily willful ignorance. You are only ignorant because you are not taught it. There was a time we used to be taught it. There was a time I remember going to school, reciting the Lord's Prayer every day. I remember going to school and having Bible studies every day. Why? So we could learn the law. What the law represents. Understand that in the true sense of the word. Stand under that. It will serve you well, eventually. Now, where we run into some trouble, but it's good trouble, right? With this unlawful conflict of interest, there is no law, only bureaucratic carpet legislature and dragnet policy. It's up to we the people to enact the rule of law in our courts if we are to have honourable, fair and just balance of justice for all under the constitutionally protected and democratic presumption of innocence. And right to travel, right to commerce between ourselves in a form of barter. In the right to go about our daily lives unhindered, unmolested, uninterrupted, so long as there is no presumption, not assumption, presumption, to give reasonable suspicion of committing a crime. Okay? Not an infringement, not a furphy, not a so-called traffic law written in all capitals, not a rule of commerce, but to trade amongst ourselves in a barter system if we so wish, to have an agreed upon exchange of goods or value between two people without the government having anything to do with it, because it has nothing to fucking do with them. If both people are happy on the exchange, who is it hurting? No crime committed there. No harm, no foul. Will we receive pushback on us taking matters back into our own hands? You bet. Will it be difficult? Absolutely. Will there be personal costs? Hell yes. But is it worth it? God's will be done. God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Far more overwhelmingly than you could comprehend. So I'll end it there before I'm at risk of ramble, because I can get that way, I know. It's not so much ramble, it's I just get, once I get on my soapbox, I start to get like Hitler and Uns and fuck this and that. Okay, this is not Mein Kampf, this is our Kampf. Our struggle, not mine. This is our struggle. Our struggle for freedom and democracy. Not Nazism, not communism, not socialism, not feudalism, not plebtocracy, not a technocratic state. Not for a Hunger Games society. For justice for all in a democratic, free, man, woman, child, with sovereign unalienable rights under God, where the rule of actual law prevails for a truly cohesive society. And you get into that, you get under that, you stand under that. It will not be, it'll be hard at first, yes. Will it get easier? Yes, as people, more and more people jump on board and watch everything iron itself out. And it will. And we will come back to the rule of law. We don't need to be governed. By being governed, we are being held back from operating at our full potential. Look at what governing actually is. When you govern something, you hold it back. A governor on an engine stops it running at its full potential. Your lawnmower is governed so that those who have no mechanical sympathy don't over-rev them and wreck them. Those of us who have mechanical sympathy and knowledge know how to run that lawnmower at its full potential so that it actually does last longer and operates at its full potential, not labouring it. Who'd have thunk that you could explain that with a lawnmower? My word, you can. Also, you can explain the hierarchic levels of assumed authority, of perceived dominion with a deck of cards. What trumps what? Why is it called a trump? Oh dear. What do we have here? Why do you think Donald Trump walks in front of the royals? Why do you think a royal walks in front of a common peasant? And down the line it goes. I'll leave that at that. I hope this was invaluable to you. I don't do this for the likes and clicks and bullshit. And I don't ask for shares or none of that. But I find that this is extremely important information, and don't be afraid to share it. I don't care if it makes a fool of me, I really don't. Because eventually, who's the fool now? I really would rather you not be a fool. So God bless you and bye for now.